All right, let's talk about something absolutely critical if you're even thinking about buying property in Malaysia. We're going to break down a legal tool that is, without a doubt, your ultimate shield for one of the biggest investments you will ever make. So just imagine for a second, you've done it. You've found the perfect place, that dream home. You've scraped together the deposit, you've signed that initial letter of offer, and you're already mentally arranging the furniture. It really feels like the deal is done and dusted, right? But what if it's not? Well, here is the absolute nightmare scenario for any buyer. While you're busy with your loan applications, thinking everything's secure, the seller gets a slightly higher offer from someone else, and they take it, just like that. This nasty practice has a name, gazumping, and it can turn your dream into a total financial disaster, leaving you out of pocket and back at square one. So, how on earth do you protect yourself from something like that? Well, thankfully, Malaysian law has a really powerful answer. Let's get into what a property caveat is, because honestly, it's like putting a legal padlock on your deal. Okay, so what is a caveat really? Put simply, it's a formal legal notice that you file with the land office. The best way to think about it is like this. You're putting a temporary freeze on the property's title. It doesn't mean you own the property yet, but it basically stops the current owner from doing anything else with it. So what does this freeze actually do in practice? Well, it legally blocks the owner from selling that property to another buyer. It stops them from using the property as collateral for a new loan. They can't lease it out. They can't create any other kind of registered deal on it. Basically, your claim is now officially on the record, and it has to be dealt with first. And, this isn't some obscure legal trick. It's a formal, powerful mechanism that's literally written into Malaysia's National Land Code from 1965. It was designed for this exact purpose, to protect someone who has a legitimate claim to a property, like you, the buyer, before the title is officially transferred into your name. Okay, so knowing this shield exists is one thing, but the real power comes from knowing exactly when to use it. Seriously, timing is everything. So let's look at the most strategic moments to deploy your caveat. Now, for most property buyers, this is the big one. It's for that incredibly risky period after you've paid the deposit, but before the main sale and purchase agreement, or SPA, is finalized. This is the danger zone. Lodging a caveat right at this moment is your absolute best defense against getting gazumped. But hey, it's not just for buyers. Imagine this. You're supposed to inherit a property from a will, but you suspect the executor is trying to sell it off behind your back. A caveat can be a lifesaver here. It can halt that sale cold, preserving the asset until everything is sorted out properly. It's also an incredibly powerful tool in really difficult personal situations. Think about a divorce. One spouse might try to quickly sell a property that you both own. The other spouse can lodge a caveat to freeze that asset, making sure it stays put so the court can divide it fairly later on. Okay, so this thing sounds powerful. I get it. But how do you actually get one? Well, the process is pretty formal, as you'd expect, but it's not impossible. It's a clear, step-by-step playbook, so let's walk through it right now. The first, and honestly the most important step, is to talk to a lawyer. They'll confirm that you have what's called a caveatable interest, basically a valid legal reason to lodge one. From there, they'll help you draft a sworn statement, fill out the official Form 19B with all the property details, and submit the whole package to the right land office. Once the registrar approves and stamps it, bam, your legal padlock is officially on. But lodging the caveat isn't the final chapter of the story. You have to remember, this thing is a double-edged sword. It has a specific lifespan, there are clear ways to get it removed, and there are some really serious risks if you use it improperly. Let's break that down. So how long does this protection actually last? Well, according to the National Land Code, a private caveat is effective for a whopping 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. That is a very long time, giving you a massive window to get most property deals sorted. But it almost never stays on for that long. It can, and it definitely should, be removed once the deal is done and the property is yours. So how does it come off? Well, there are 3 main ways. The most common way is that you just voluntarily withdraw it once the sale is complete. Simple. But the property owner can also apply to have it removed. If they do, you might have to go to court to prove your claim and extend it. Or they can just bypass that and apply directly to the high court to get it taken off. And this brings us to a really, really important warning. Because a caveat freezes someone's asset, the law treats it as an incredibly serious action. You absolutely cannot use this tool lightly or just to cause trouble. In fact, the law is crystal clear about this. Section 329 of the National Land Code says that if you lodge a caveat without reasonable cause, you can be held financially liable for any loss or damage the owner suffers because of it, and that could be a huge amount of money. So it really boils down to this. A caveat has two very different faces. On one side, it's that amazing shield that protects your deposit, prevents gazumping, and secures your right to buy your dream home. But on the other side, it's a serious legal liability. If you misuse it, you're the one who could end up facing a massive claim for damages. Which brings us back to the big question. Is your property investment truly secure? Well, without knowing about this tool, maybe not. A caveat can transform your vulnerability into real strength, but it's a powerful shield that has to be used wisely and correctly. At the end of the day, the difference between getting your dream home and facing a financial nightmare could just be knowing that this tool exists and having the confidence to talk to your lawyer about it.